Yo. What's up, everybody? Can you hear me? GM. What is up? Here we go. What's up, the two besties, Sloan and Sunny? Quite the username there. DYOR, Warthog, Cointronica, NW, Gianluca Peter. What's up, bro? Arian Chaudhry. How's it going, man? Good morning. Ademo. This is absolutely not financial advice. Come on now. Nice try, though. What's up? Jaunty Jaguar, Egg, Nafalo, Vitor Gurgle. Justin Tron serves financial advice, not Maine. Justin Tron has $1 billion, and Maine does not. Yet. Not yet. One day. Luis, what's up? Let's go Leafs. Man, the Leafs deserve one, but I think I would rather see Connor McDavid win. I'm not going to lie. What's up, Crypto Mommy? How are you? Lobo. You will have a Forbes article, but the problem will be fitting the neck and the headshot. I don't know if I want a Forbes article. Isn't every time someone's on Forbes, like, something's about to blow up? So, guys, listen, these streams are always for you to ask questions. I don't think anything materially has changed on Bitcoin or any of the majors based on my streams that I do publicly and the stuff I obviously share in the Discord. I think what we've done really well for the month of April, because it's now basically the last week of April, we caught the entire move. So the unfortunate bit, if you guys remember, is if you go to my let's see here. Where is my chat? If you go to my trading chat here, there was really a couple of longs, right, that we had laid out. So initially, we longed the bottom, basically, right? So here, where the fuck is it? Sorry, guys. Yeah, so we took a long on the daily sweep, right? So per the charts, I said if we have this daily sweep, which was way back here near the start of the month, right? Enter half on a close of the daily sweep, and this was that 3 drives pattern, okay? So we were waiting for the 3 drives pattern. We got it. We got the daily sweep. We took the long. And like an idiot, I closed it early. But basically, we longed 78K Excuse me. I'm so sorry, guys. Allergies are going crazy now that it's spring. So we longed 78K on the 3 drives. And then we were basically bullish bias. And then I closed here like an idiot for like break even. And then it went directly after me closing here. We did this. So like if you look at when we closed, we legitimately closed. We longed here. We longed this. And then we closed here. And then it went directly all the way to the yearly open. So that was gay. But it is what it is, right? But we made up for it by catching that long on Ethereum. So Ethereum, we caught the long down here where, yeah, maybe you got wicked out, right? But I was like, hey, I think even if we wicked out, I think you can punt this again. And immediately it ripped the next day. So hopefully some of you guys caught that. Even if you got stopped out on the first setup by having your stop directly below this wick, like to the penny, you could have instantly re-entered and this thing still ran for like 3 to 4 R. So that trade's mostly played out now as well. I think the Bitcoin trade is mostly played out too. I don't think we're completely out of the woods quite yet until we reclaim the point of breakdown. And I've been talking about this level with you guys for the entire month. Ever since we lost this range, I said to be bullish again, to see all-time highs, we need to reclaim this. So this is the most obvious area on the chart for resistance, and I expect it to act as resistance. Now, what we're looking for, if we're a bull, is effectively something like this. We're effectively looking for price to turn this into a weekly breaker. So if we get a weekly close above here, we would have an internal range, because remember, the weekly range is bearish, right? Like if you remember our system, there's our weekly high, and this is our weekly lower low. So this is an internal range structure shift, but we're still in a weekly down leg. This is still a high time frame downtrend. So it's come up now to the range high into the premium. If you remember from our recent lessons here, we're into the premium. And now what we need to see effectively, if we're going to be bullish, is a weekly close above here. It's now Thursday, so we've got today, tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday, 3.5 days to close above 88, 89K. And then we need to see a higher low. So I think the next 2 trade setups are looking for a reason to short and then hoping and praying and puking and crying and throwing up and looking for the bulls to step in here. Because if we come down here and we're just weak, then we're going to new lows. And we're going to be trading back towards the 66 area, that big monthly demand that we'd been talking about. And this is just another lower high in this continued downtrend. And that's going to suck. So I know that everyone on Twitter is jerking off about being bullish and they're telling you to long your longs and long everything. That's not a good sign. I don't think anyone who wasn't bullish here has any, like, if you're listening to people who weren't bullish here, who are now getting bullish right into resistance, you got to be careful of those people because they missed the entire move already. Bitcoin went up 25% this month. Fartcoin did a 5x. Solana went from sub 90 to 150. Even ETH went from like 1400 to 1800. So we caught the major move for the entire month already. We had a bullish bias since the second week of April. So any trades you're taking, you've had a very easy long bias based on what we've determined we thought was the next most likely direction for Bitcoin. So that's great. But now we're into resistance. Now is not the time to start opening new longs. Now's the time to be like, hey, this is the biggest resistance level, most obvious level on the chart. We're actually going to be looking for signs of weakness. So if you go over here and we zoom in, there's nothing on the H12 yet. We have a swing high right here that maybe gets run. Another one up here. Okay. Nothing really on the H4. I mean, you could argue that this is a breaker and we're dangerously close to getting a rejection from here. I really like this daily fair value gap here to potentially provide some support. But ultimately, right, like looking at the low time frame, we're now on this H4 fair value gap. It needs to hold here. If it loses this, right, like it didn't give us a short setup yet, unless you're taking like this or this with your stop up here. But I would much rather see, you know, a run above here or like a push up to here before shorting. But if it just rolls this, there's probably a pullback, right? So we'll have to see. But this is what's holding price up right now. It's this H4 fair value gap right there. So let's see how the bulls fare. Equities have held up pretty well. We had that fib that we had drawn out, and I basically said, hey, if Bitcoin wants to keep going, this sell-off needs to stop. This was on Monday, and we need to bounce from here. That's the case. I do still think equities can put in a lower high up here before going down, and that would line up with Bitcoin pushing a little bit higher. But now is not the time to get uber bullish. We're into resistance now. Now's the time to say, hey, hopefully you made some money during this ginormous move that we identified. Now's the time to kind of be reassessing. So if we get some sort of strong rejection here, I don't think a bad idea at all to take some profit on maybe some spot that you were hoping to sell that you didn't have an opportunity to sell, all that stuff we've discussed. Another thing to be very concerned about, in my opinion, is just how weak altcoins are going to be relative to Bitcoin. So if we do get a pullback on Bitcoin, just remember what Bitcoin dominance looks like. And if Bitcoin pulls back even a little bit, a lot of these alts are going to eat shit. All right, so hopefully you guys made some money. Let me know, of course, with the Ethereum long. I'm sure some of you weren't pussies like me and kept the Bitcoin long open. We also long spot, if you remember, at 78 and 82. So if you're happy with taking some money on those trades, 78K longs are up, what, $16,000? 82K longs are up, you know, $11,000. So if you're happy to take some TP on some of those spot buys as well, that's a really nice unlevered return that was available there. So hopefully you guys have made some money this month with me. But yeah, other than that, I don't got much to update you guys on. These are for you. So if there's anything you want me to check, if you have any questions about my system, about TA, anything at all, I'm here for you. What's up, James? Nick says Clippers money line tonight. Shit. Do the Lakers play tonight or do they play tomorrow? Lakers are tomorrow. Okay. Can I look at gold? Absolutely. So this is probably the first sign of actual rejection. Still very early, right? Too early to tell, I think, whether or not that this thing's done. But this is probably the first decent sign of rejection we've seen on gold. But my advice on gold has been pretty simple. I want to see the dollar, right? I'd like to see the dollar bounce. And so you can see here, the dollar's trying to catch a bid. It's trying to catch a bid. It's run a bunch of lows. It's got some demand over here. So this thing's starting to get a bounce. Now, if the dollar's able to do this, that's going to probably lead to a pretty decent correction on gold. Okay. But like, what's your question? Are you wanting to long this or are you looking to short it? Because I wouldn't really short it yet. I would wait and see what the dollar's doing. Now, if the dollar gets a bit of a bounce and this thing loses kind of this area here, then maybe there's a short on some sort of underside retest. This to me looks like your liquidity, and then this weekly demand becomes your draw. But it's just a little preemptive, personally. But yeah, happy to answer any other questions you got about that. If we're trading into a premium zone that you identified, would you be less picky taking a short or still wait for a clean fractal? Well, I mean, that's the thing. Bitcoin, right? So if we go to Bitcoin right now, I got to start using like tabs so I can have more than one like chart open at once and just tab through them with all different layouts. But let's look at Bitcoin here. Okay. So here's our weekly, right? There's our weekly low. Here's our weekly low. Excuse me. What am I doing here? Here's our weekly low, right? And then this is our weekly swing high. We ran the range low in a bearish range, and then we traded up into the PD array, the point of interest. This is your POI at the range high. And we're in the premium of this range, right? So if I pull my fib from here down to here, right? We're in the upper part of the range. To here. We're in the upper part of the range. So on the weekly alone, you could short this as soon as it hit this level with your stop there. Right? Or you could wait, because this is a weekly resistance area here, you could wait for the lower time frame to give you a setup. Because at the end of the day here, if you're entering just based on the weekly, your stop is up there, okay? It's not horrible, but back to the range lows is like 3R, okay? But my stop is, almost 7% away from my entry. It's not terrible, but you got to keep that in mind with your position sizing. Well, what happens if we do this? If we do this, right? Okay, well now I can maybe enter on here and my stop is now here. See how drastically that changes? Because now I don't even need to target all the way to the range low. I can get 5R just back to here. So that's the reason why you would dial down to a lower time frame, is to increase the accuracy and the potential risk reward of your setup. But you could take the short on the weekly as is, because we're in a premium, we're at resistance, all of the stuff is there already. Can you explain where you and Lomer have differing opinions on the point of breakdown for BTC? Well, what is his point of breakdown? I don't know. I thought we were looking at the same levels, like 94 to 96K. I'm pretty sure is what he was looking at as well. Am I looking for longs on silver? I think silver looks really nice for sure. Like, you have this big weekly sweep here now. And then this is now going to become a breaker, right? And this is like a major breakout point here. So I think if you can get silver above this, excuse me, any sort of pullbacks in here, right? Put your stop like down here, are longs. The other thing you want to look at, right, is the gold silver ratio. So this is basically ETH BTC, but for gold and silver, right? So if this is going up, gold is stronger because gold's the numerator, right? If this is going down, silver is stronger, right? So this is ETH BTC. And right now it's going up, but maybe some signs of rejection here. Ondo went insane off some news. It's retraced 50% of the move. Ondo no condo? Is that what this was? I mean, I don't remember when we had marked this out, but I'm sure I did this on one of my streams, and I was like, oh, look, Ondo's into big high time frame support, and it put in a sweep, and it ripped. But, yeah, I don't know. Are you talking about like this pullback here? Or I don't know what you're talking about exactly. Right, now we're up here. Fresh demand. Potentially a fresh sweep here as well. Decent setup there. Right, so there's your weekly sweep. This is now your weekly potential breaker here, but I bet you there was an H12 entry right here. Look. It's the exact same setup as like Solana. They all printed this, remember? There's your weekly sweep. Here's your H12 breaker. Sorry, one sec, guys. Sorry. For virtual, looking at a higher high on the H4 after putting in higher lows. Going back to the 13th, is it fair to wait for it to demonstrate another higher high and two higher lows before longing? Let's see. Okay, for virtuals on the H4. So you're asking like when can you long this thing? So I mean, I wouldn't like, I always start like at the highest time frame and then I just tick my way down, right? So The monthly, it's not much to go off of here. The weekly, we bottomed right in demand, right? Like, so there's first clue. Okay, 3-day gives you a really nice over-under level here. Like, that's super clean. And then you keep ticking down. Okay, well, is this not a breaker then? Up candle for the down move that took out a low? I would say yes. Right? So this thing's got a lot of good stuff going on it. Now we're down to the H12. Like, the only thing I would be aware of is, again, similar to everything, we're now into resistance. We've had a 100% move, right, over the last 2.5 weeks. 100% move over the last 2.5 weeks. And we just hit resistance, and we just took out a high. So if you're looking to long this thing, I'm not saying it can't make another leg up, but you got to ask yourself, okay, this thing just went here. Look at your range here. Range high, range low. We just took out the range low. Now we're taking out the range high. How much juice is there left to squeeze on the long side? It can still go, can still make another high, still make another higher high, right? But again, Bitcoin's at resistance, ETH, Solana, they're all at resistance, and this thing went up 100% over the last 2 weeks. So any sort of longs on this thing, sure. But I would say they're probably relatively low time frame. If anything, I think this thing just put in a short, right? There's your H1 sweep. There's your breaker. Like, this seems like a short entry, not a long entry, personally. But who knows? Like, the H4, to me, it's got this little fair value gap here that it's holding. But I'd be much more interested in longing this thing on a retest of, like, this. Right? So there's your deviation. I'd love to see this. That seems more like a better long to me. Bro, why are you copying and pasting your question like 20 times? I see it. Like, I see it. I'm working my way down the list. When next educational content? Soon, bro. I'm getting married next week, so I'm probably going to be a little bit AFK for a little bit, probably till the middle of May, but I'll do my best to keep you guys updated. Maine, can you please look at grass? Look, see, I got to your question before you copy and pasted it like 30 fucking times. Are you not in the Haven? I don't know. I accidentally might have launched this stream as public. That might have been my bad. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate you, bro. Paritosh Gupta, are you in the Haven? Okay. I know when I made the stream, I accidentally made it public, so for a second, but I switched it, so I didn't think it was going to. I wasn't sure. Grass. Yes, this is a private stream. Is there one that's got more history? I don't know. Kind of looks shitty. Like, you got to ask yourself, right? Okay, so Bitcoin's up 25% in April. Sol is up 20% right now. ETH, which is sucked ass, at one point, had a 40% range and is only down 3%. Bitcoin finished the month. It's up 12% right now. So, like, there's a lot of stuff that's got big green candles on the month, right? Like, look at Sol. Look at ETH. Look at Bitcoin. And then Grass right now is down 8%. So, it's been underperforming, like, a lot of stuff. So, I'm not saying that it can't go up. It's just like, when the whole market is bullish and your coin doesn't go up, you might want to consider that maybe there's not a lot of interest in this coin. So I don't know what this coin does. I have no idea what's going on with it, and nor does it matter. Just saying, like, when everything goes up, including even shit like ETH, and your coin doesn't, this seems like it's probably not the best coin to be longing. You know what I mean? So it's got some big resistance here. If it can get above this kind of $2 mark, then I think it looks okay. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I know. Can you believe I tricked a girl into marrying me? Popcat. Yeah, like we've talked about Popcat, right? It was into weekly support down here, put in a big weekly sweep. Probably gave you an H12 breaker right here. Like, I talk about this all the time, guys. There's your deviation. There's your low that got run. Like, I give you guys all of the directional bias, and then the same setup forms on like 20 different coins. I talked about this in the Haven, right? I was like, Sol, ETH, bunch of meme coins, Fartcoin, they're all doing the exact same setup. They have a big weekly SFP, and they're bullish. And then you could just go and pick and choose what coin you want to long. Obviously, I'm retarded, so I longed Ethereum. But yeah. So Popcat, big move, very nice. Again, though, it's now up 200+% for the month of April. I'm not saying it's done by any means, but like, I would try and probably long some sort of pullback now as opposed to chasing it after a 200% move to the upside. Hi, bro. Just joined. Do we hold balls and wait for retrace? I don't even know what that means. Can I look at Jupe? Sure. This is very similar to Grass, right? Like, it's underperformed a lot of stuff. Maybe not as bad, actually. I lied. So I don't know what all those drawings were, but obviously that didn't work. To me, like, something like this, it's like one of those really easy setups where it's like, if it can get back above this old floor, then it becomes interesting. Until then, not so much. Here's the thing, Paritosh. If this was a public stream, I wouldn't want you to like hammer the question over and over again either. So, I mean, we've got like resistance here, obviously, but maybe it can regain the floor. That would be the first thing I'd look for. Can we look at hype? Sure. Gotta have hype on here. So hype is reclaiming that big level we'd been talking about, right? I'd been talking about 17 as being like a super key level for hype to reclaim. And it's attempting to do it right now. Now, there is resistance right here, right? Like, there's resistance where we are. But similar to so many of these coins, had a big run of the lows, right? There's your breaker. But this is key, right? If it's able to hold above here, and chop around and grind this level down, I think it can trade up to here, but that's going to be dependent on the rest of the market. So if the market can remain bullish, I think that this thing can eventually trade towards like 24, 25. But it's attempting to just kind of reclaim this range low now. So let's see if it can get in there or if this is just going to reject. First ever crypto trader to get married. Exactly. Tau. Yeah, I mean, all these coins, guys, they look the exact same. Big weekly level sweep, coming up into resistance. You know, if we get a pullback to start the month of May, like these all are going to have big weekly retest levels to buy. I don't know if we get there. I have no idea. But if we get some sort of pullback into the mid 80Ks on Bitcoin, a lot of these altcoins are going to give you insane retest opportunities with super defined risk. Have you been placing many Forex trades lately? Any setups that stand up to you? I haven't traded a lot of Forex lately, but with the dollar being so weak, right? Anything that, and I posted about this in the Haven. With the dollar being weak, any pairs that have the USD as the denominator have been bullish, and any pairs that have USD as the numerator have been bearish, right? In general. So if you go look at Euro USD, right, it's been bullish. If you look at GBP USD, it's been bullish. USD CAD, USD JPY have been bearish. The last trade I took in the Haven was Euro USD. We longed it down here. And I mean, this thing's gone up almost 15%, which is insane for a currency. So now with the dollar potentially, right, look at what the dollar's doing right now. The dollar is trying to put in a low. So if the dollar is going to put in a low, then on something like Euro USD, where we just put in a weekly sweep, I might say, hey, maybe I want to short this thing. So if the dollar is able to bounce, there might be a short opportunity on this if it breaks down here with your stop up there. And then you have a lot of liquidity below here that you can target. If the dollar can rip. If the dollar is going to continue to be weak, this thing's going to continue to trade higher. So that's what I'd be watching. Since there's no narratives, my thesis is that people will look to pump a select through all memes to all-time high first. First fart, now it looks like PopCat. People speak about no new narrative, but what if there are none? I don't really understand your question when you say people will look to pump a select few. I think people are just going to chase what's going up. A lot of these altcoins are down so much, it becomes quite easy for them to go up and do like, you know, a 5x. You got to remember, like Fartcoin is still 60% off all-time high, even though in the last month and a half, it's up 500%. Right? PopCat is up, what, 200 some odd percent in the month of April? 247. It's still down 80% from all-time high. So this thing could rip literally 1,000% from the low and still not make a new all-time high. So you got to keep that in mind when you're looking at these coins. But yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff is down so much. All it takes is a little bit of breadth and life in the market for them to pump. But if Bitcoin rolls over and pulls back even 5-10%, a lot of these alts are going to get absolutely fucking nuked. Can I look at CRV? Sure. This is one of the better looking high time frame charts, I think. That weekly setup that I showed you on so many charts, Curve is doing that on the monthly. Here's your monthly breaker. Here's your deviation. So I think this looks good. It's one of the better looking high time frame altcoin charts. Would I long it right here? No. Right? Like we're into resistance here. So it depends on what the rest of the market does, but I would much rather long this on like a pullback if we get lucky. But if it clears this, then yeah, it probably goes up to here. Do I look at Bonk at all? Yeah, I like I like using Bonk as kind of a proxy for meme coins. So it had a really nice move off of running the weekly low. But like everything else, it's coming up into resistance and the market is pumped a lot. So Bonk is up, you know, almost 100% in the month of April into resistance now. So I'm not opening fresh longs here. Like maybe on the low time frame, there might be a long opportunity for one more high, but everything on the high time frame is coming up into resistance along with Bitcoin. So the time to open longs was when we got bullish, when Bitcoin was below 80K. That was the time to be longing everything. Now it's, in my opinion, much more time to be cautious. How often do you stream for the Haven? I try to do at least once a week, and I try and have at least a couple of Haven-only videos every single week. I've been making trades, but I'm like, at what point do I end up buying my spot alt? It's triggering. I assume we get confirmation of a higher low. I mean, listen, bro, like there's still no guarantee that we're even out of the woods yet, bro. Like what if this does this? All of altcoins are going to get fucking doomed to zero if this happens. Right? So I don't think you need to rush. Look at how far down a lot of these altcoins are. I think the best case scenario, right, is you wait for Bitcoin. Like you want to buy alts. Maybe you don't get the bottom, but you want to buy alts when this thing's done going up. Does it mean you're going to get the bottom? No, because alts are probably going to have traded higher by then already. But like once Bitcoin stops being dominant, like if Bitcoin's going to do this and then make new all-time highs, alts will go up, but Bitcoin dominance is still going to go up, right? So it's kind of that tricky battle. But, you know, I would wait for confirmation that the bull run's not over. Because if we reject here and make a new low, every altcoin you're thinking of buying, you're going to be able to buy 50+% lower. Thoughts on the Russell 2K's confluence for alts? If NAS moves similar to BTC, R2K might be a good indicator for alts. I think the best indicator for alts are Solana and ETH and things like Bonk. I wouldn't compare alts to TradFi market whatsoever, really. The NASDAQ and Bitcoin are similar, sure, but this is no different than like Bitcoin itself, really. So like, I mean, you tell me, are these things correlated? There's the Pico top. There's the Pico low. Here's the last cycle top. Here's the bottom of the bear market. You know? There's the COVID bottom. There's the 2017 top. This one had a little bit more juice in it. So I wouldn't say that this is a proxy for altcoins. You're stretching it a little farther. Altcoins are a derivative of Bitcoin. NAS seems to be hitting Daily swing, break a retest. Good op for a long. Possible. Definitely possible. I mean, we want this to continue higher if we want Bitcoin to not be topped yet. Because if these roll over, you're kind of cooked. But the long, in my opinion, again, was here and here after running all the lows. This, you just got to kind of wait and see. It's not, I don't have a setup here. Personally, doesn't mean there isn't one, but I just don't have a setup here. Where would you long Fartcoin on a pullback? Gosh, I don't even know. Like back here. Like you really want to see it kind of hold this breakaway gap, right? Like this gap was created as price broke through this consolidation. So I wouldn't really want to see it trade below, you know, kind of this old high and this fair value gap. So, you know, somewhere in here. But like that's a 20% dip. Gets pretty hairy on Fartcoin. Fartcoin's just so crazy volatile, man. Will I look at BTC SPX? Sure. Looks pretty good still, right? I would say that's kind of your key level right there that you want us to hold. So, I mean, outside of like low time frame trading here on the long side, you know, like I think really what you're looking for is can equities continue their rally? Right? Like we've got this big level right here. And if we can pop through here, this can go up another few percent, squeeze higher. But ultimately, I still think it makes a lower high. So maybe there's some short-term ops. Maybe there's still a little bit of juice left to squeeze on Bitcoin, right, up into here. But I still just don't think that unless you're taking trades on the really low time frame and you're trying to trade breakouts, all of the setups for me and my system, they've already all played out for the month. And I know it's boring, and some people are like, oh, your system's so slow, and you see someone who's like, oh, they just long today, and they made this, like, my system is slow and boring, but I catch the major moves generally, right? Like, would you rather long Bitcoin from here to here, right, with really risky, or you catch the long here or even down here, and you get to ride the entire move for the month? And all of the altcoins that printed the exact same setup, there was 30 or 40 different setups here you could have taken between Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, Fartcoin. We went over so many of these, even just today's video. Ondo, tons of them printed all of the exact same setups. CRV did it. Yeah, so it's just a matter of like, you know, how you trade. Popcat did it, how you trade and how you want to trade. And I know a lot of people are getting super bullish here, and Bitcoin might pop from here to here, and they're going to go, whoa, I fucking told you. But then, like, what happens if that's the top? Whereas I told you to be bullish here and here, and we caught the meat of the move. I'm much more interested in taking those types of longs, risk adjusted. Yeah, maybe there's not as many opportunities. Well, there was tons, actually. I disagree. But now it's like, okay, I know it's frustrating to be patient, especially when you go on Twitter and everyone's telling you that everything looks insane. It's like, well, where were you guys when we were below 80K? And everything isn't already up 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100%. Where was all that excitement then? So you just got to temper that with what you see on Twitter from a lot of these guys. Because again, I'm not saying they might be they're wrong. Someone can make them. You can make $1 million taking along from here to here. You know, if you're going huge size and you're getting in a really nice entry, sure. But to me, the bigger money and the easier setups were these ones, which we caught at, you know, earlier in the month. Anyways, okay, I'm gonna look at ENA here, and then I gotta dip because I chugged my coffee and it is done being digested. Not to be crass. Can I look at ENA on the 12-hour, please? Looks like it's accepting back above the range. It's trying. So I would look again. I always start way more zoomed out, right? And then work your way down. Because you might be like, okay, the 12-hour, maybe it's accepting, but then you go to the weekly and you see it's just starting to tag the bearish order block. And now when I go to the 12-hour, I have the true level here. This is the weekly level. And then you can refine it on the H12 and say, okay, huge level here. Like it's at resistance. This is absolutely where the resistance is. Maybe it closes above here. That would be good. But if it closes above this swing high, that's probably the temporary top. But if it can reclaim this weekly level, then yeah, it starts to look interesting. Starts to look really interesting. Gun to head, BTC retest of the lows or all-time high first. I have no idea, bro. I couldn't tell you. Until it reclaims this, the lows are more likely than the highs. But all it has to do is trade a little bit higher, and then the highs become very likely. But it's at the most important resistance on the chart, and we got bullish early. So don't fall for the fucking bullshit from all these people who got bullish 2 days ago. We got bullish 3 weeks ago. And where the fuck were they? Nowhere to be seen. Hiding in the fucking gutters and the sewers like the fucking rats that they are. All right, guys. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the stream. As always, if you got any questions, don't hesitate to tag me in the chat. Like I said, I'm leaving to go get married next week, so probably going to be a little bit lighter on the updates. But if you got any questions, I'll make sure I'm doing my best to at least do some video updates and text updates. But I might not live stream until after the wedding. Maybe I'll try and get one more in before I go. All right, guys. Appreciate you all. As